So guys, Sowore has come out to confirm that Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer, Aloy Ejumako, has been taken to one of the worst places any prisoner can be in Nigeria. I'm going to allow you to take a look at this video. He has also argued that what Nnamdi Kanu is going through is because he is from the southeast, that there's not too much talk around it. It's just because he is an Igbo man. Take your time, watch this video, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now take a look.
So expectedly, predictably, the Nigerian police fired tear gas and some reports say live ammunition and occupied major roads here in Abuja to stop peaceful demonstrations called to protest against the continued detention for more than 7 years of the separatist leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who's on trial facing terrorism charges. In the Abuja city centre, heavily armed police, supported by soldiers in a massive show of force, patrolled with water cannon and armoured trucks, firing volleys of tear gas wherever they saw protesters trying to gather. Mr. Kanu leads the banned Indigenous People of Biafra Movement, or IPOB, a group that advocates for the secession of southeast Nigeria. Mr. Kanu's supporters say his detention in the last decade is politically motivated. They want him released and the 7 counts of terrorism against him, to which Mr. Kanu has pleaded not guilty, quashed.
Nnamdi Kanu was first arrested in October 2015 upon his return from the UK. He was later released on bail in April 2017 on health grounds. Later that year, his trial was disrupted when soldiers invaded his home in Abia State, leading to the deaths of some of his followers. Mr. Kanu subsequently fled the country, but was rearrested in Kenya in June 2021 and extraordinarily renditioned to Nigeria. In April 2022, the Federal High Court struck out 8 of the 15 charges against him, citing a lack of merit. Later, in October 2022, the Court of Appeal ordered his immediate release and quashed the remaining charges. However, a year later, the Supreme Court overturned that decision, allowing the federal government to continue his trial on the remaining counts. Mr. Kanu's continued detention has sparked growing public outcry and renewed calls for his release, culminating in today's protest.
You look a bit red-eyed there. I wonder why.
Well, it's been a lot of tear gas inhalation today and a lot of attacks by the Nigerian police. So I haven't done anything else today than just protest. And we also ended up at the FCT command of Nigerian police to get some of the lawyers, because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's main lawyer was arrested, and lawyer Ejumako, his younger brother, was arrested, and 11 others. We went to see them, and they gave us a hope, false hope, that they'll be released tonight. But we found out on our way here that they'll be moved to the place they call Abattoir, which is one of the reasons why there was NSAS in 2020. It's a major torture chamber of the Nigerian police. So they also tear gassed us right in front of their office this evening.
So more than 7 years in detention, almost a decade in fact, and he's still not been found guilty of any crime. And your contention is that in line with the Nigerian constitution, which says that a man is innocent until proven guilty and which calls for the speedy dispensation of justice, it's time to set this captive free. Is that a fair assessment and the reason you led today's protest?
Yes, it is because also the Court of Appeal in 2022 did take a decision, a decisive decision, that having been extraordinarily renditioned from Kenya, kidnapped is the other word for it, there are no charges that can hold in that court, and he was asked to be released. That judgment ought to have taken effect immediately was given, but the Nigerian government did not honor that judgment. They claimed they were going on appeal. An appeal does not constitute a stay. When personal liberty is involved, he's been discharged. There's nothing that could have held him except to get a brand new detention order, which they didn't, because they were not interested in any trial. They were interested in subduing and subjugating Nnamdi Kanu for committing a crime against the real estate called Nigeria, which is to say, look, we may want to think about our own country, considering that this country has no respect for our dignity, our culture, and our safety. So I have laid this out before, and I have also looked at the case notes. I worked with the lawyers. I am in a position to tell you when I see a useless case, because I get charged severally for this kind of frivolous cases. Nnamdi Kanu is not being held for committing terrorism. No, it's being held because he is an Igbo man who wants Nigeria to either allow justice to the Igbo man or let the Igbo man be. That is the crime Nnamdi Kanu committed. It's a crime committed with a microphone, not an AK-47.
Right. Okay, I'm going to come back to you in a minute, but Mazi Dixon, I wonder what your reaction, because you kind of lost your voice.
Yes,
there.
I did.
I wonder what your reaction is to the fact that the march that you attended was tumbled, let me put it that way, by the police. They fired tear gas to disperse the protesters, and you apparently fell victim to that show of force and to that tear gas. And clearly, I wonder whether that cast a shadow on things for you, how much it did cast a shadow.
Charles, please permit me, first of all, to commend my brother here, Sowore. I was born 7 years after the Civil War. And for the first time in my adult life, I felt loved as an Igbo man by other Nigerians. Another Nigerian took it upon himself to say enough of this balkanization of fatherland.
Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration, isn't it?
But that's what it is.
Igbos are across the country doing business and attending to their affairs.
That is earned by merit. I'm talking about someone sacrificing his own liberty to say there's a brother in there, because an injury to one should be an injury to all. If we are to build our country, then indeed we must have that understanding that together we should, not by letting some people out of this whole process. So, my brother Sowore, thank you. Thank you for showing love to a fellow countryman, because it's difficult. Look at what Nigerians are going through.
But to be fair to Sowore, he's shown that same love to.
No. I'm talking for myself as an Igbo man. Okay. Because the case here is that Nnamdi Kanu being incarcerated today is simply because he comes from that part of Nigeria. Because what's his crime? It's not just about, oh, you're not treating my people fine or not treating my people well. It's also about, this is not how to build a nation. So if we can't build this nation the way it should be, then please, we can't stay here. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if you think there's something wrong with it, call him to the table and discuss what are the issues. Okay, if you're not comfortable, what can we do better to ensure that some of those grounds of yours can be addressed and all that. So sincerely, today again, being that it was peaceful, because it was well declared by the convener of this very protest that it is a peaceful protest, and it was peaceful. But go around Abuja, if this was how the Nigerian police force was tackling insecurity in our country, we won't be here. We won't be discussing insecurity in Nigeria. Nobody could move. We just assembled, and before you knew it, they started, not just tear gas, live bullets were released. Not just at one location, even when we now said, okay, since you have stopped us from convening around this so-called big men area, we're moving to the people. We moved from there to roundabout, and then from there we moved to, they came there and moved us to Otako. They still came that way, tear gassed and all of that, and then moved also to Apo and all that. You now wonder, what is it that the Nigerian government really wants from the Nigerian people?
Right.
For us to be violent? Is it because we decided to be peaceful? Right. So indeed, it's unfortunate that this is the country that we found ourselves, but it cannot continue this way.
Well, Mr. Sowore, let me come back to you. The protests obviously gained a lot of traction on social media. You're very influential on social media and beyond. And it probably alarmed the government, especially after the US Embassy cautioned its citizens to stay away from the protest locations in Abuja. Were you surprised that your call for a protest gained as many followers as quickly as it did?
Well, it wasn't only on social media. It happened everywhere around Abuja. We had 6 spots where we had thousands of people converge in march. We were at Utako, we were at Apple, which has the largest crowd.
Turnout, yeah.
We were at Gudu, and we then relocated to the FCT command where we were tear gas, but we were attacked ruthlessly everywhere we went. What these people are telling you is that you cannot be a peaceful person in Nigeria and get away with it.
Yeah.
You can only be violent and get away with it, because if we were terrorists or bandits, as they call them, we could have been walking around Abuja today with ammunition and nobody would come near us. But fortunately or unfortunately, people like me have chosen a non-violent approach to resolving issues. But that doesn't mean that a generation is not coming that will not accept this nonsense.
But I mean, you know that what happens when these protests take place is that they tend to metamorphose into something bigger, and the government knows that beyond the specific case of Nnamdi Kanu, you and other opposition politicians, he's an opposition politician, you often intend to wake up the spirit of the masses who say, you know, they're fed up with bad governance. I mean, your movement, by the way, is called Revolution Now.
Yes, and I won't deny that. In fact, I think the traction around this particular protest was beyond just Nnamdi Kanu. People are fed up with the system, and they cannot deal with the fact that somebody who hasn't committed any offense known to law, an offense that is triable, that's the way I'll put it, is held in detention. Whereas that same week, the president is pardoning drug dealers, kidnappers and murderers, and Nnamdi Kanu, who you can't establish any offense against, is kept perpetually detained, he's tortured, he's harassed, his lawyers, his lead lawyers were speaking, is in detention.
I have to say that the time is ridiculously long.
Yes.
I mean, upwards of 7 years in detention. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all.
You see, the larger Nigerian nation is itself an open prison. I spent 5 years here over a boat.
So sort of Gaza.
Yeah,
that was
but Gaza is better than Nigeria in some ways.
I wouldn't go that far, to be honest.
Gaza, throughout this period of bombardment, had electricity. so I had some kind of water supply that you can't get here. The sewage was. I am not in any way saying this, so you don't misunderstand me in the future. But Nigeria is, you can't even define what is wrong with Nigeria. It's like a nation that is at war, with itself and against itself. Yeah. And when you see this happen, what we have experienced with Nnamdi Kanu, with terrorists walking around, the federal government even went and attended the naming ceremony of one of the bandits after they met in Katsina, you would ask yourself, why am I here? Why am I in a country like this? And that is probably why most people call Nnamdi Kanu a prophet, that he saw into the future that this country is not the kind of country you want to have your children in. And there's nothing wrong if you want your own country. This international law recognizes that. If I declare Sowore Republic tomorrow, what are you going to do to me? Arrest me and detain me perpetually? No, it is not done. So what we're saying here, when you see injustice, you know it, and you don't need to be told that the way and manner injustices are handled in Nigeria have colorations. Sometimes it may not be ethnic, but it might be religious, it might be political. I was around throughout Abiola's persecution. Abiola did not declare more than saying, I'm president because I won an election. He died in detention. They kept saying, we were fighting in those days, Abiola is in detention, Abiola is being handled by the courts, it's being handled by the court. He wasn't being tried. The Supreme Court had gone on break. So did the same thing that I'm alarmed, and I'm saying this to anybody who is watching, I'm alarmed, I'm shocked that we're in a country where there's anybody who feels what is being done to Nnamdi Kanu is okay. And I say this particularly of my Yoruba brothers who make these comments. Some of them even have the audacity to send me messages personally. They'll be sending you all these videos, because your brother is in power. But I was the only person when Sunday Igboho's house was raided and all his people were, including his cat, was killed. I was the only person in this Abuja who went to the Federal High Court who pushed the DSS out of the front of the courtroom, and that was the day his people were granted bail. Nobody talked about. Yeah. There are Yoruba activists who went and invaded a radio station in Ibadan. Have you heard about them anymore? Even Sunday Igboho, my brother, is back. He's actually, you know, he's moving around freely. Nnamdi Kanu has never carried a weapon before. Most of these guys have done things like that. Why are we treating the Igbo man differently? And I'm not saying that to whip up something, because I'm ashamed, of course, of these Southeastern leaders. Because when I was on your show last time, you remember, I was saying that Nnamdi Kanu is being kept in detention deliberately by Southeastern politicians. They showed themselves in the last few days. The deputy speaker was asking people not to join peaceful protests. You know, all the governors kept quiet about it. The Ohaneze Ndigbo person in our heads is, you know, is a weaker version of Ohaneze Ndigbo. He's saying that nobody should go out to fight for the freedom of a person who is innocent of any crime. And we are here saying it is normal. It is normal. Even the policemen who were shooting at us today were fighting for them a month ago to get their pension and gratuity. They were the ones shooting at us. They saw me today, came close to me, and they were shooting directly at me. 4 times today, the policemen I fought for. There's something wrong with this country, sir.
Let me ask you this, Dixon Irebu. If Nnamdi Kanu is released today, do you believe that it will stop his group from calling for the Southeast to secede from Nigeria, assuming that is the issue? Or is it something that is beyond him alone, and therefore he should not be held entirely responsible for it? Because I think somebody made the point earlier today that you had the Biafra war before him, and of course groups like MASOB, etc., before IPOB.
Yeah. If Nnamdi Kanu is released today, first what it will bring is a separation from the call for secession, or for the call for Biafra, away from the criminals who have wrecked the Southeast today. What we want is to redeem the most peaceful part of Nigeria, which Southeast used to be before 2015, that APC took over our government, and Buhari continued with whatever, Buhari started with whatever it is that he had against the Southeasterners. But we thought, okay, Tinubu has come. What is he doing there? If he wants to unite the country, why not bring everybody's interests to the table? So release of Nnamdi Kanu may not necessarily end call for secession or call for Biafra. Biafra is no more about secession, really. Biafra is now more like a religion. Because, Charles, 3.5 million Nigerians were slaughtered in that war. There is no household in Igbo land today you go to that you won't have one person or the other that was lost in their family. So it will be difficult, therefore, to forget Biafra. What will bring about an end to the call for secession will be this country allowing for equity for all, justice for all, fairness for all. That is what will end any form of secession, whether it is Yoruba nation or Biafra nation. I am not part of call for any nation at all. I believe in Nigeria, but not this kind of Nigeria. I want a Nigeria where everybody can at least go to court, ask for justice, and get it. But now it is the highest bidder. We're not running democracy anymore in our country, because if this was democracy, freedom of association and protest as we had today and all of that would have been allowed. What we have are plutocrats who are afraid of the people, because today we saw how scared the elites are. They are scared stiff. They don't want us to get together to indeed demand for our common good. So I am only saying that releasing Nnamdi Kanu so that the criminals can be treated as criminals, so that people will not be committing the kind of crimes that we're seeing in the Southeast in the name of Nnamdi Kanu. And I don't think, if the commander-in-chief really understands what he's commanding, I don't think he should continue to give deaf ears to the call for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. He should be released as immediately as possible.
Mr. Sowore, I wonder how much you were influenced by protests in other parts of the world. I mean, we've had Madagascar recently, we've had Nepal. I mean, these are the kind of things that maybe worry the government. Protests involving people known as Gen Z, and I mean, we saw a whole bunch of them coming here with you. One assumes, of course, as you have yourself repeatedly pointed out, that your approach is different. Because in Nepal, for instance, they burned down everything. But I understand that obviously you want your protests to be peaceful and pacific.
Yes, because I often stated that justice for all, for me, is not specific enough. It's a bogey. And we have to specifically ask for things that would advance the progress of Nigerians or the people who live within the boundaries of a country called Nigeria. I do not believe in violence. That I've stated, but I've been protesting since I was 21 years old. And that's to remind people who are with even Dixon and I, we were arrested in 2021 by Hassan, the DPO of Secretariat.
Nnamdi was brought back from Kenya.
We went to attend Nnamdi Kanu's trial. So I've been at this for a long time. But anybody who is discerning, who is the leader of Nigeria, should know that these young people are watching what's happening in Nepal and other places. Yeah. And, deploying people on social media to discourage them is not going to discourage them. We now heard that there's a coup or an attempted coup. So everything, the jigsaws are coming into place.
Those are reports that are verified. Well, and let me just point out that the Defense Department denied that any such thing took place.
Well, anything they deny is something you should believe, especially when it comes to those kind of issues.
But we have to kind of balance the story.
So, but what I'm saying here is that Nigerians are watching, and you can't use barbed wire to separate them from their leaders forever. One day, they will step over the barbed wires, the tear gas will not work, it won't stop anybody, water cannons will be useless.
Even the bullets, how many?
Even bullets, the moment you kill a few people,
but I'm wondering, you said you've been protesting since you were 21.
Yes.
Do you, after all those years, do you think that people have a disproportionate amount of power to effect change? Because it doesn't seem to be happening in this, if you like, bifurcated, many channels political world that Nigeria has become, or Nigeria is.
If there was no protest in Nigeria, Nigeria would have gone completely to the dogs. If there hasn't been protests over separate different issues.
Even
Nigeria wouldn't have
protest.
Left military dictatorship. Yeah. Maybe we'll be like Cameroon now, where the person who is president is dead, brain dead, but alive to elections. So nobody should discountenance protests. I met Goodluck Jonathan recently, and I'm glad Aisha is here with us. She has been abusing me about it on her YouTube show, lighter note. And I said, can you come protest?
It's not fair to say that she can't reply to you right away.
She's my friend, I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay.
But when we spoke up to the point, I said, can you join this protest? He said, no, I'm a former head of state. I can't participate in a protest. I said, but if you run for election and you lose, the first thing you do is to go and protest. Protest, there's nobody in Nigeria that has not participated in protests, from president to high school kids. Buhari was a protester in this country until he became president. Tinubu was funding all the protesters, in Nigeria since June 12 and beyond, up to 2015 until they captured power and they now hated protesters. The ones that cannot protest always reach out to people who can help them protest whenever they're in trouble.
Yeah.
I get that from all these people all the time. This Nnamdi Kanu that we're talking about once protested on behalf of Orji Zokalu when he was being tried for corruption. Yeah. Orji Zokalu is now one of the people who says, Nnamdi Kanu should let the court process be completed. But when he was tried for corruption, what did he do? He ran to the APC because he cannot trust Nigerian courts. These are the kind of people you have in these political parties who are so dishonest and hypocritical.
They don't care about
And like I said, there's a generation washing. And that generation is what the biblical people say that the next Pharaoh may not know Joseph. Abi?
Yes. Pharaoh.
Yeah, Pharaoh.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because very briefly, because we're almost out of time. A lot of dust has been raised by today's protest, no question about that. But is it likely to make things better or worse for Mr. Kanu? 30 seconds.
It should make it better because the statement was loud and very resounding. I believe those living in their high fences in the villa heard very loudly that the people are demanding for the release of Nnamdi Kanu.
Okay.
I just want to believe that they should respond to that.
A final word from you, Mr. Sowore. What happens next with your stated desire to mount pressure on the government to release Nnamdi Kanu?
If they don't, there will be a bigger mother of all protests. Again, we will announce the date, but let me say this. I'll give them a period of grace to get their acts together and do this as soon as possible.
So guys, one of the things that is catching people's attention is a video of an Igbo man who protested alone in Lagos State, and guess what? He was accosted by the Nigerian police and was told that he dare not protest in Lagos as an Igbo man. So guys, these are the things fueling the agitation of the Igbos. This country has been so split, divided, that an Igbo man should only feel safe in his region. Outside his region, you are a stranger. Now, Sowore has argued that what Nnamdi Kanu is going through is because he is from the southeast, and you cannot but agree with Sowore. It is not news. Sowore has said this time without number that what Nnamdi Kanu is going through is just because he's from the southeast. Now, I'm going to take you through some of the reactions from Nigerians. Some people have reacted as a result of that video, you know, where the man said, oh, I was accosted by the Nigerian police and was told that I am not supposed to protest in Lagos being an Igbo man. Meaning, this country is already divided. And when Nnamdi Kanu agitates, they say, why is he agitating? Why will he not agitate when the country is already splitted already? So guys, when you look at how this country is being managed today, you know that APC has destroyed this country. I mean, this country will hardly come back to be what it used to be, considering that APC is in power. And that is why we all must put our hands together to make sure that this government is sacked come 2027, because they cannot continue to divide us. You can imagine if Nigeria keep moving in this trajectory for a long time. Do you know what's going to happen? So, this person say, how can a policeman be telling me, oh, you are even an Igbo man protesting in Lagos? Declan Ihe Kaire says ethnicity is key barrier to Nigeria's unity. It's really, really so sad. Tribalism, taking us backward. Now, this person here reacted and said APC and Tinubu have completely destroyed Nigeria. This person said, I'm glad people are starting to understand how tribalism is holding Nigeria back, and it will only get worse. God forbid. Another person say, in this South that thinks they are friends with this bigot. The same witches removed Jonathan, carried casket on their head with their pastor against Jonathan. They said it's clear that he is an Igbo in your presence. You all must learn, Sha. Another person, is this the nation you envisage passing down to your children? This Igbo nation made the ultimate mistake of trusting Nigeria's second term. And because they ignored all the lessons that the Civil War taught them, they are paying dearly for it. Paying dearly for it today. I hate it. I hate it here. Hey. Another person said, the forceful amalgamation union by Lord Lugard is no longer working. Even from the first day British created the contraption entity called Nigeria. The only way is to total disintegration of Nigeria amalgamation that has already expired since 2014. Anyone can push this narrative, but it is true. But its truth is debatable. Nigeria, as multi-ethnic nation, will be better served by a confederate regional system with semi-autonomous geopolitical zones rather than the current over-centralized structure. And then this other person, oh my God, if only Ona know how divided we are in Nigeria, Ona go run, embrace racism. Not our fault. We are only reacting to our problem. Our colonizers planted it hard. I and we must wrong one another to achieve it. And oh my God, this is sad. This is sad. This person say, you are in Lagos protesting that the government in Abuja should release your IPOB leader that's from the southeast, and he's on trial in Abuja, not Lagos. Why not protest in Alibu or Abuja? You should thank your star that the police rescued you and stop this nonsense you are saying. If you are protesting in Nigeria, don't carry any valuable on your person. Nigeria police are all criminals. That's why they hate camera more than anything. So these are some of the reactions from Nigerians after this man came out saying that, you know, he was told not to protest because he's from the southeast. You can see how divided we are in this country. Anyway, let me know what you think about this. There were a lot of other reactions, but let me know your thoughts, you know. Okay, I see this person say, I agree with a lot of what you said, but You see that part of 500k necklace, my bro, that one na bukum. Why you go wear a necklace of 500k, they go protest. Now beauty pageant you they do. We've seen the Yorubas for what they are. When Tinubu don't rule finish, Yoruba don't finish. If another person starts to the rule and they rule rubbish, no Yoruba soul has the right to condemn the government, because when their brother they in power, they protected them with the errors. So that is it. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.